Hello everyone and welcome back to another library haul. I did my favorite activity in the world, which is go down to the public library, browse around, find some books that I want to read, and now I'm here to talk about them. So I actually got these and then I had a long weekend off of work and I wound up taking an impromptu road trip, so I actually didn't read what I wanted to this weekend. So now I'm a little bit behind, but the goal is to get through most of these this coming week, and I think I'm going to be able to get through most of them because the books are mainly pretty short. So let's take a look at all of the books that I got. As you can see, there's a lot of them, but a lot of them are pretty short, so I feel like I'm going to be able to get through them in a reasonable amount of time. So let's just dive in and talk about what I got out. A lot of these books, let's start with book twos, I guess I'm gonna call them. So I found a lot of books in the library which were like the next book in a series that I'm currently reading or that I read a previous book in the series for, so I wanted to get them while they were there in the library. One thing about using a public library is sometimes you might have to wait for the next book in a series to come in. I don't really mind it. I'm usually reading a lot of things at once. There's a lot of copies of most of the popular series in my library, so I either don't have to wait long or I can just wait the 4 weeks for someone to return it and I'll have plenty to read in the meanwhile, so it doesn't really bother me. That is something to note. If you do use a library, you're going to have to possibly wait for a popular series to have the next volume be returned. So the first book that I got is My Love Mix-Up Volume 4. This is a manga series that I have been reading. It's kind of cute. It's basically like a love triangle / miscommunication thing, and now these two guys might be in a relationship, but then they aren't. And they're just trying to figure out their feelings for one another. It's kind of sweet, it's kind of cute, I kind of like it, and I saw volume 4. I've read 1 through 3, the reviews are here on this channel, so I'm excited to read volume 4 and see what happens in the continuation of this love story. So that's My Love Mix-Up volume 4. The art is by Aruko and story by Wataru Hinekire, and I really like the cover for this one as well. Next one is Witchy Volume 2. So there's a bookmark in here, but I haven't started reading it. This one is following Witchy Volume 1, which I reviewed on this channel earlier. I really liked that one. I loved it. It's a comic series, but it's not aimed for kids, but I feel like it maybe hits that teen demographic. I'm not sure, but I really loved Volume 1. I really enjoyed it, so I'm excited for Volume 2. I saw they had it in. It was a new book at the library, and I checked it out because I wanted to read it. So we have Witchy Volume 2. The next one is something that I read a while ago, and then I could not find Volume 2 in the library, and I saw it on a random whim at the library, and I was like, I need to check it out before I forget about this because I loved the first book in this series so much, and that is Terminal Uprising, which is book 2 of Janitors of the Post-Apocalypse by Jim C. Hines. This is kind of a sci-fi book. The cover looks kind of ridiculous, but I actually kind of love it. I love these ridiculous sci-fi covers where there's kind of a lot going on and you're wondering what's happening. So in the first book of this series, humans are infected by a virus, but there's a bunch of aliens in the universe, and humans have been infected by a virus that kind of turns them feral. There's one alien species that has the kind of cure for humans, and they take humans and fix them from the problems or like from the virus that they have, and then the humans are able to live in the galaxy. They're not able to cure everyone, so they're kind of curing humans as they're able to, and they mostly work kind of low-level jobs because of this feral virus. They don't want these people getting too high up in society and then reverting back to their feral self, which sometimes happens. But the humans, they're working as janitors on a ship, and there's a big disaster, and basically the janitors are the only ones left, and they're all these humans who are trying to figure things out. Not just humans, there's a bunch of other things, other aliens that we get to meet, and it was just a fun story. I absolutely loved it. Jim C. Hines did not get enough love for that book. I don't care how much love that first book got, it did not get enough because that was a great book. I loved it, and I'm surprised I have not heard of it before. Maybe I just don't run in the right book circles, but that first book was really good, so I'm excited to get book 2, and I'm so ready to see what continues or how the story continues. So I might need to read a little recap to make sure I have all the characters' names right. If there's a big gap between when I read Volume 1 and Volume 2, I usually need to at least recap who the characters are. I just find it easier than just diving in and being like, who's that character again? It always comes back to me as I'm reading it, but I can save myself that painful period in the beginning where I'm like, who's that again? And waiting for me to figure it out if it's been a while since I read the first volume. So probably read a little refresher on book 1, but excited for book 2. Then next up, I think those are all the, oh no, I got one more. Malika, is that Malika Volume 2, Warrior Queen. This was another comic series that I read the first one for. She's a queen in it's like alternate history if I remember correctly, but also kind of superhero. She's kind of a queen of this nation if I remember correctly. And then at the very end of Volume 1, there was kind of a time jump where she was doing there was this alternate history timeline where, if I remember correctly, was it China was invading into Africa, and she was trying to, this is another one where I need to do the refresher. But I remember enjoying it. I remember it kind of had the alternate history vibes, but it also had superhero vibes, and I was really interested in seeing where the series is going. So I saw they had Volume 2. I checked it out. Again, I need a little refresher on what Volume 1 was, but I do remember thinking the art was really good and really colorful, and I really, really enjoyed it. I kind of like the alternate history that was going on too, so I'm excited to see where Volume 2 of this series goes. And again, that's Malika Volume 2. So cool cover, interested in seeing where this goes. So those were the 4 that were next in the series, next up to read. So now let's get into the ones that aren't quite next in the series. They were just interesting. First is Sebastião Salgado. This was a photographer, which I believe one of my commenters recommended. Someone who commented on my video recommended, and I got the book Genesis, and it was really great. I had a really great time reading it. So I wanted to find some more stuff by him, and I found this book. This is called From My Land to My Planet, and I think it's just him talking about photography. It's some photographs and some just text. So I'm interested in seeing what this is about. It's not just a photography book, but I'm probably going to file it with my photography videos because I'm interested in seeing what he has to say in this book. So for everyone who enjoyed the other Sebastião Salgado books, stay tuned because I have another one by him that I'm excited to read. Next we have, okay, I gotta see how to say this correctly, and I'm probably gonna butcher it, I'm so sorry. Raffenkel's Saga and Other Stories. I believe this is coming out of Iceland. Describes the adventures. Yep, all 7 stories in this volume exemplify the outstanding qualities of realistic fiction in medieval Iceland. I took a course in college in Icelandic history and geology, and that was because I was part of this 1 week one week group that got to go to Iceland and experience Iceland for a week. That was kind of my finishing college gift to myself, and I really loved it. I like the history, I like learning about it, and we had to read a lot of stuff for that book, for that course in college. But I don't think we read this one, or if we did, I didn't do that reading. I was the person who always did the reading, but there was a lot of reading in that Iceland class, and I'm a reader, so there was a lot of reading in that Iceland class. I think if we did have to read this, it was either a selection or I skipped it, because I do not remember reading this one, but I'm excited to see what it's about. Icelandic stories. I think the back said, yeah, there's 7 of them, so I'm interested in seeing what this is about. Just looks like text. We'll see. I pulled it out in a whim, and we'll see what I feel about it, how I feel about it. Then we have Who's Counting? Uniting Numbers and Narratives with Stories from Pop Culture, Puzzles, Politics, and More by John Allen Paulos. I recognize this author, but I don't. Here it is. He did Innumeracy. Okay, the best-selling Innumeracy. I really enjoyed that book. I thought it was really, really well done. I liked it. I knew I recognized the author when I saw it on the news shelf, so I pulled it off, but I think this would be a really good Math Monday book, so we're gonna read it and see how I feel about it. Next up, I have some local things, I guess you could say. So I live in the Midwest of the United States, so I like to read stuff that takes place in the Midwest. The first one I got was Midwest Futures. This is by Paul Christman. It's just a short little book on, I guess, the Midwest. We're gonna see what this is about and what this is like. Not really sure what to expect, but we're gonna read it. I really like the cover. It's like all the fields, like the plowed fields from an aerial view. So I'm interested in seeing what this book is about. The next one I got out, and I've actually started to read this one, so because I couldn't wait, and I think I miscalculated. So let me just show you the book. It is Haunted Detroit by Nicole Beauchamp. Beauchamp. I'm so sorry if I said that incorrectly. I actually asked someone else how to say this, and they didn't know either, so we might all just be dumb over here. So I check this book out because I figured it was going to veer towards the paranormal, and most of the time when I read paranormal stories, I can kind of separate it and be like, well, that person was, they don't know what they saw, or it's too vague, or I don't know if I really believe that. But other people can, and it's just kind of fun. So I thought that I could read this and it wouldn't be too scary and I could just like go about my life normally, but I scare very, very easily, like very, very easily. Whatever would scare like a 5-year-old is about the kind of stuff that would scare me. I never became desensitized to that sort of stuff. So I have to be very careful with what I read if I want to get a full night's sleep. So I have started reading this. I've actually made it quite a ways through with my little fun guard. Bookmark, and it's very interesting. I think if you like any sort of local level, I'm not from Detroit, so it's not like local to me, but if you like that local feel of like people in their hometown talking about things that are like haunted or mysterious or paranormal, I think you might be interested. The author of this book kind of is really into it, and she runs a group, I guess. Or maybe she features in, she's like in the paranormal community, so people in that community might find it interesting, or people who know her might find it interesting. So, and I think if you like that, you'll enjoy this book. But this isn't a review of this book. Basically, I already have a feeling this is going to be a little too spooky for me, but I'll give the full review when I review the book. But I did get this, and it's very interesting. It's just, I thought I was going to be able to handle this a little more than I can. I also probably shouldn't be reading it in bed before I go to sleep for the night. I don't know why I think that's a good idea. Finally, this is another one that I haven't started reading, even though there's a bookmark in it. And this one, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to just kind of blow off and I'm not going to be too scared, but we're going to see, because I thought I could do the same with Haunted Detroit, and that is the Lake Michigan Triangle. Mysterious disappearances and haunting tales. I feel like this is kind of a play on the Bermuda Triangle where like planes go missing. I was really into that for about 4 weeks in 3rd grade. I don't know. You know how you go through phases in elementary school? I didn't even know there was, well, I kind of knew there was like a Lake Michigan Triangle, but I don't really know if it means anything. Like, it's a pretty big lake and I feel like things go missing all the time. So we're going to read this, and I'm hopefully just going to learn some fun tales and some like history of the area that this is in, but I'm not really expecting too much. But that being said, I also thought this wasn't going to be scary, and I'm pretty freaked out by this book. So we're going to see. Stay tuned. If you like paranormal or ghosts or anything like that, this might be a very interesting book for you. So stay tuned. And this is by Gail Soucek. Soucek? S-O-U-C-E-K. Great. So those are the books that I'm going to be reading. Let me know which one of these seem interesting, or if you have any more recommendations. I do have to make one more run to the library before the Christmas holidays, and that is because I forgot to get the book club book that I'm reading for my book club for this month when I got all these books from the library. So that's my fault, and I'm going to have to go back. So the goal is to read these all this week, and then I can review them, and I will let you know what I feel about them. But other than that, thank you for watching. Let me know which of these seem interesting to you, and I will get back to you when I have read these. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.